Hey everybody, today we're going to be visiting with Mr. Bob Bezotte right here in his office in Lansing, Michigan. Hello everyone and welcome Bob Bezotte, our newest representative for the great state of Michigan. Bob, how you doing today?
Doing great.
Great. It's wonderful to be in your office at the Capitol. That's amazing. Folks, this is our own homegrown Bob Bezotte. He's in office. He's one of the people. He's doing it. Tell me, Bob, we already know you were a previous sheriff. We already know that you love guns. We don't have to ask Bob Bezotte any of that stuff. So has there been any talk lately with your sessions here that you started up where we're talking about guns? Are they going to grab the guns yet?
Not as of yet, nothing that I've heard. We've had sidebar conversations with Republicans, and that's one of our concerns. It's something that we're definitely keeping an eye on. Representative Hall, who's the Florida chair leader, he's got a bill that we signed last week, and I don't know when he's going to drop it, but it's to call the states to convention to address the Second Amendment and trying to bring the federal government into line a little bit, so to speak.
Nice. That's great. We can use all the help we can get. It's kind of like bailing out the Titanic with a bucket, isn't it? It's kind of trying to figure out where to start first.
Yeah. And that's the biggest issue right now with COVID and trying to get everything back up and open and some of the restrictions. We're probably the most strictest state as far as the lockdown, and we have some of the highest numbers. And the governor blamed it on the Supreme Court ruling that was, as everybody knows, the Supreme Court came down and said some of her lockdown orders were illegal. Well, you can't blame the Supreme Court because I think it was 2 days later she weaponized the health department to lock us down under the health DHHS. So you can't blame them. I think it's, quite frankly, if you look at the Republican states like Texas and Florida and some of those states, they've handled it very well. Their numbers are down. I just think we've handled it completely the opposite direction. We're frustrated on our House side, and I've talked to some guys over on the Senate side too. We're frustrated because the governor, just until recently, refused to talk to us. Just in the last week and a half, she's now sitting down with the Speaker of both the Senate and the House and talking about some of these lockdowns. And
oh, you're kidding me.
No, it's just recently. I mean, it's gone on past a year.
You know what she's telling all the papers, right?
Yes.
She's saying that she's trying to engage Republicans, but they will not answer her.
And I can tell you 100% that's not accurate. We follow this thing day in and day out. If you remember the sports lockdown, right when the COVID money was, we were going to distribute the $5.6 billion. We told her, if you lock down the sports, we're not even going to talk to you about this. And within 2 days, she unlocked the sports and allowed them to play. And when they asked her what happened in 2 days, she refused to answer the question. And that's what's happening down here. When you ask a question, people refuse to answer it. And as public officials, we should be held accountable to the public, to the people who vote for us.
Right on.
And refusing not to answer a question when you're making these very important decisions for 10 million people it's just unconscionable to me.
I have a question that kind of dovetails off of that. So in the federal government right now, the United States House of Representatives, there's like a couple dozen gun control bills. If these were to pass through and get signed by the executive, let's go back to Livingston County. When you were a county commissioner, you voted for and we passed a sanctuary county status, right?
Right.
So what's your thoughts on Michigan becoming a sanctuary state from the federal government, as far as kind of like how we did on the county level?
We've got a couple bills that address that issue, that we don't have to abide by the federal standards, that Michigan can write their own laws, and you'll see that coming up here in the near future. The problem's going to be, it's like, eventually if the governor vetoes that, you need 2/3 override to super override her veto. And right now, we've seen this with the remember the stimulus money, we had the majority of the Democrats voted for these bills, but then when they came to the super override, they voted against the override, which didn't make sense. So they're clearly playing the politics. They're clearly siding on the side of politics, not what's right for the Michigan people. And that's what's disturbing about being in Lansing a little bit is you see quite a bit of politics being played, and people looking at the polls. So right now, the governor has agreed to sit down and talk to the Speaker and the leadership of the House and the Speaker of the House only because her numbers are going down drastically, and she's concerned about the numbers. So I think that's the only thing driving her to even talk to the other two branches of government.
I have one more question about that, and I kind of hate when this happens, but if we have to use it, we do. So on the state level, is there a way to take like a big spending bill and package in something that's pro-Second Amendment where they're kind of forced to vote for it, and she can't veto it or she would veto her whole budget? Does that work here in Lansing?
Well, what happened, and we just saw it happen recently, she vetoed parts of a bill. Matter of fact, the school bill. Yeah. When we gave charter schools $86 million, she vetoed that part out because she doesn't want to give charter schools any money because she's supported by MEA.
Yeah.
So you see the political part playing in where she vetoes parts of a bill, and then when you try to super override that, you need the 2/3. You need 17 Democrats to come over and side with us to get a super override, and that's just not going to happen.
So she's showing a willingness to exercise her line item veto?
Yes.
Okay.
And she did that clearly. The charter school issue was very near and dear to my heart because I'm a supporter of charter schools. My grandkids go to charter schools, and they've got some of the best records. And they have quite a few minority neighborhoods and school districts that they have as well, charter schools. So they do good work around Michigan, and then she vetoed that part of the bill, which was mind-boggling, really.
A lot of her voters probably lived in those impoverished areas.
Yes.
And could have benefited from those.
Charter schools are good. I like competition. When you have competition in whatever you pick, school districts, I think it raises the level of professionalism and learning, and that's what we're there for, correct?
Yeah.
When you look at Michigan schools, we're 37th overall. You've constantly got the top 5. You've got New Jersey, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Florida. All these schools are in this top 5. Why are they in the top 5? And Michigan is already, we're in the 37th to 42nd rate. I don't get it, and yet we're 13th in teachers' pay. And you see the issues right now. The teachers' union, they don't want to go back to school. They're the ones that are stopping the kids from being in the classrooms. And I got to give a shout out to our school districts, the 5 school districts in Livingston County. They've been in the seat since the beginning of the school year. Howell's been 5 days a week, and the other 4 school districts have been 4 days a week and 1 day virtual.
Great.
So our school districts and the superintendents in Livingston County have done an outstanding job.
Good.
So, Bob, this is a new kind of deal for Bob Bezotte.
Yes.
So is it what you thought it was going to be, or is it different? And if it is different, talk to us about it. I mean, these are your friends, so tell us what you found out in the first 100 days of being here.
Well, I'll give you a quick scenario. That when I was sheriff, I had 7 lieutenants and an undersheriff, and every Monday we'd get together and we'd talk about issues, and we'd come to an agreement. And I only, in 12 years as sheriff, I only changed 2 decisions because I looked at it as a team. We really gelled, and we really worked well together. Excuse me. When I became a county commissioner, I worked with 8 other commissioners, and for the most part, the county board did a great job. We're in the top 2 or 3 financially every year, so we're fiscally responsible in Livingston County. But when you come to Lansing, you got 109 other people that you have to sit down and talk to. And like here's a bill that I'm trying to move forward. So I've got it on my desk for 2 days, today and tomorrow, and then I'll file it on Thursday. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 co-sponsors on the bill. So I'll look tomorrow to get a few more signatures, and then you got the chair of judiciary or the chair of general government. You've got to get them to take the bill up and and give it a hearing, and then there's a vote. But if they won't give it a hearing, this will never see the light of day, even though it's a good bill.
Gotcha.
This particular bill, if you have somebody that's committed a first-degree murder or a capital offense where it's automatically they're gonna go to prison. This bill, typically what happens right now is you have a county in Livingston County. Let's say you have a first-degree murder case. They're sentenced. They're in your jail for up to 8 to 10 weeks while they're waiting the reports from the parole and probation departments and recommendations. Well, we already know they're getting a life sentence. That's what the offense calls for.
Right.
So this bill just says as soon as they're convicted by a jury of their peers, they automatically go to prison. They're transported there, and if they got to come back in 10 weeks for a hearing, we go get them and bring them back.
Heck yeah.
And it's supported by the Michigan Sheriff's Association. It's supported by all the sheriffs in the county, in the state. But I've got to get this to a hearing, and if the chair, that one person of that particular chair or that committee doesn't like the bill, they don't have to give it a hearing.
Wow.
So it might not see the light of day, and that's what happens with a lot of bills. You've got to talk to the chair, and you've got to have a good relationship with any particular chair, and the speaker especially is very important.
There's a lot of working together.
Yeah, and that's sometimes frustrating because you've seen today, as you watch the vote on the floor today, we had what 5 out of the 12 bills that were passed, we had probably 10 of them that had 100 legislators vote for it. So you've got 100 out of 110 people voting for it. So there's some good bipartisan bills that are being proposed up here.
That's good.
So there's good work being done. The frustrating part is sometimes we don't agree on Second Amendment issues, and that's one of our most sacred amendments to the freedom of I believe in constitutional carry myself, but yet you've got to you got to pay these to have a permit. You got to go and improve, and I do agree that you have to prove that you haven't got a felony, and you've got to pass records and all those things, because you don't want the guns going into the wrong hands. But a lot of these bills and currently what's proposed in Washington hurts just the general law-abiding citizen, and that's what we have to protect against.
I agree with you, because look, criminals by definition don't generally follow laws.
No.
So they're not going to say, I need to.
No.
Oh, I thought when you put that safe zone thing up, it's just like everybody's good. Everybody's good.
I was on the gun board from, we had the prosecutor's office, the sheriff's office, and the state police. All three of us were on the gun board. And out of all the permits we issued, and there was a ton of permits, I never seen one person violate or commit a felony when we gave them a permit. And I'm sure there's some cases around the country that you can talk about, but by far, 99.9% of the people that are given a CPL are law-abiding citizens.
Wow, that's insane, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we agree with you here at 2A. We agree with you 100%. We know that we're law-abiding citizens. We know that that the guns aren't actually the problem. It's the people behind the guns. We get that. So why is it? What is the biggest issue that we have going on right now, Bob? Is it assault weapons, or is it something else?
Well, I think misinformation. You've got the media that's saying one thing, and unfortunately, people sit home and they listen to the media and they trust the media.
Yeah.
They don't think the media is going to mislead or actually lie to them, and that's frustrating because I've seen the media personally. I've seen them. I know 100% what is happening. For instance, the governor not talking to the
right, exactly,
and the press puts it out there that we.
That the Republicans aren't being reactive.
We refuse to meet with her and cooperate with her, and that's just not the case. That's the frustrating part, when I know 100% that the media is misleading and outright lying, and the governor is using this as a way to move her polling as well as her fundraising.
Right on. Okay, so my interview is just about over, but I want to give you a few seconds here to tell these people. They're the Bible thumping, gun toting people, very hardcore gun supporters. So tell them what is important to Bob Bezotte and what Bob Bezotte's going to do here at the state level.
If you've ever heard me talk, and I'll say this time and time again, you got to know who you're voting for. You've got to know 100% that the people you vote for are constitutional people that believe in our Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and will take their oath of office seriously. Once you're up here, I can tell you within 3 or 4 months, I have voted consistent with what I've told my voters. I will vote the Constitution. I'm not a big tax person, so I don't want to see any new taxes. And I'm Second Amendment. I'm right to life. So those 3 things, you'll never see me vote outside those lines. Now, there are some times when you have to, on other issues, and we can talk about various issues where you have to maybe negotiate, or you don't get 100% of what you want. But on those 3 issues, for me, there's no negotiating. So I would say, know who you're voting for. Do your research. Too many times I see people that are running for office, and the people, instead of doing their homework and checking out who these people are and what they stand for, maybe following them. Everybody hasn't got time to go see them speak. But with the internet now, it's like videos like this. You can you can see where they stand on issues, and you can hold them accountable. Instead of calling a friend, or what do you think about this guy? What do you think about this guy? Or do your research, know who you're voting for. We had a prosecutor for 24 years that didn't believe in gun rights but ran as a Republican.
Over in Livingston County?
Yeah, and as soon as that law changed, I think it was around 2000, he pulled his person off the gun board because he didn't believe anybody should have a gun. And I specifically said you took an oath of office to support the laws.
Yeah.
And it's not the ones that you think we should support. It's the law, and you have to support it. That's what your oath of office says. So hold them accountable. Hold them to their oath of office. If they don't, you need to find somebody to represent you that will uphold the Constitution, Second Amendment, and the things that we believe in.
And I have a question. I was just standing outside of the room where you guys all vote.
Yes.
Now, here in Michigan, we have restrictions due to the COVID. We couldn't go in the gallery.
Right.
But I was able to shake your hand, my state rep Joe Bellino's hand.
Yes.
Now, you guys weren't voting on anything Second Amendment related today, but had you been, I would have been, urging you to vote
Yes.
in favor if it was a positive bill, against it was a negative. And that's what I want the viewers to know. How does that work? Like, how can somebody in the Capitol actually get a message to you or let you know how they want you to vote?
Well, there's a number of ways that you can do it. Lobbyists, we meet with lobbyists on each side of the issue all the time, and you listen to the pros and cons. There's a bill analysis that comes out on every bill that we vote for, and we go through and we read, okay, what the bill said. You used to say what it's going to say now. If it's a new bill, it's new language. But it also shows you who's for it, who's against it, who voted for it out of committee. And so it gives you a lot of information. If you sat down and tried to read each one of these bills, this is just 2 bills.
That's a lot of paper.
So you look at a lot of attorney language, and if anybody out there's listened or seen a deposition, that's what this is. And you just haven't got enough time in the day to read every bill. We had 15 today, 12 or 15. Tomorrow we'll have another 8 or 9. You just haven't got time to sit down there. So I rely on the bill analysis. I'll call, like if the Second Amendment was coming up, I've called Rob and said, hey, what do you think about this? There's a bill coming up that might interest you guys as well, and it has to do with knives. There's a bill coming up that you might want to look at that and then give me your opinion on that one.
Okay, we will.
The knives right now, and the reason I'm going to support the knife legislation the way it stands right now is because you can go to a different community, whether it's, let's say, Genoa Township, they can have a policy against knives, and then you go to Howell, and just across the township line, and they can have a different set of rules.
Oh, there's no state preemption on knives then.
So
you're right.
We have to have something statewide, so if you're carrying a knife, you're legal in Howell as well as you are in Muskegon.
That's actually been a big issue for a long time.
So you might want to look at that bill. We might not vote on that until next week, But as soon as that starts coming up, I'll call you or Rob and get your input on it.
I would like to give input. And one more follow-up to that. We all know there's lobbyists involved here in Lansing and in Washington, D.C., but a lot of times people don't like that word lobbyist. So
Right.
here's my question. There's a nice lady working here right outside your office. Somebody calls your office and leaves her a message to give to you. Do you actually get those messages and know what people are calling about? Or
Well, we have staff meetings a couple times a week, and we talk about those issues. A lot of the issues coming up, like the other day, I got over 800 emails from 5 o'clock last Tuesday until Wednesday morning. I got over 800 emails asking us to support a certain bill.
Wow.
And it depends on your lobbyist. I mean, it depends on who's got the loudest voice.
you can't read all of them, but what if 500 citizens from your Michigan district all called and said, vote for this knife bill? You're going to get that information before you vote?
Yeah, because it's not all the people from my district. It's all over the state of Michigan, and even people from outside the state.
Okay.
We get emails all the time from Florida and Indiana, you name it. People, especially if it's Second Amendment related, people want us to stand up for our Constitution, and we read them, but we don't respond to everything. You can't respond to 800 emails.
No, you can't.
But can people give you their input, just the lowly citizen, and it'll make its way to you before you vote, as far as the consensus at least?
And you guys, as a group, could actually, we have Zoom meetings. I have 2 tomorrow morning with lobbyists or people that want to talk about. One of them is on the knife issue, matter of fact. And as a group, Rob, you can get a group together and you can call me and say, I want to Zoom, I want to talk to the rep about this issue. So that's available for you as well.
Because a lot of people tell me, just on the street, they say, well, I'm not going to call my state rep because I don't matter.
It's not going to do anything.
It's not going to do anything. And that's what I'm just wondering, if it does add up and do something.
It does. I look at the content. A lot of these places, a lot of these lobbyist groups on the health bill, they have a form letter and they just send it out and have everybody send it in, so it's the same letter.
Yeah.
But I get constituent emails all the time, and I'll try to answer as many as I can, but my staff tries to answer as many as they can too. They ask me, they know my political point of view on issues, so they know how to answer it. How are we going to vote on a particular issue?
Right on.
So if 500 people called and asked for, you to support a certain bill, that would be enough to get your attention, I assume?
Certainly, and certainly if you get that many emails, you know that it's important to your constituents, it's important to the public. And a lot of these bills, like on the ones we voted today, we hardly got any emails at all.
You guys hear that out there? You have a representative telling you that when Rob says we need to start an email campaign, we're not screwing around. It makes sense. It makes a difference. And it actually gives you a voice. So the next time I tell you we need to do something like that, we got to all do it.
It does make a difference, because we talk on the floor as well, and we talked the other day about how many emails did you guys get on this issue and where do you stand on it. It generates conversation on the floor.
Okay, well, I'm going to wrap our interview up. Thank you so much, Bob Bezotte, representative for Michigan's 47th district, and Micah from 2A EDU. Thank you so much for coming on the show too. It is a pleasure to have you both.
Can I say one quick thing?
Heck yeah, you can. You're Bob Bezotte.
There's some other very important issues out there to people. Broadband is something that we've been working on for 12 to 15 years, and the governor just vetoed a broadband proposal. She doesn't feel it went far enough, and so we're going to continue to work on that. The mental health issue on public safety, as well as mental health in the jails, that's an issue that we're looking at as well.
Very good. Yeah,
so,
that's a good idea.
Our military, I can't forget our military. The mental health issues that are going on in our military, we're paying very close attention to that. Unfortunately, the lobbyists and the money doesn't go to the veterans as much as it should, and we're trying to change that a little bit.
That's great.
So we're optimistic about our military as well.
Good deal. Representative Bob Bezotte and 2A EDU, thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.